and welcome to Day Home Divas. I'm Joanne.
I'm Cash.
And I'm Sophia.
This week we'll be talking about the things that parents should be looking for and questions you should be asking when searching for childcare. Whether you're a first-time parent or this is your first time looking for childcare, it can be overwhelming, and we understand that. We see on social media all the time parents asking what they should look for and questions they should ask when looking for childcare. So we're here to help you out.
When you walk in the door, what was your first impressions?
So I guess this isn't technically a question. However, I did think it was important to put in there because we all walk into a building and we get like that initial first impression, right? You know, how many times have you walked into, I don't know, someone's house that you don't really know and you're like, this feels so warm and inviting or
Yeah,
not so warm and inviting, right? So I think that's really important for parents to take note of.
absolutely.
I agree because also like you don't know what people have. So like people with ADHD, right? You kind of is it overwhelming? Is it overstimulating? What is it? Is their kid like that? Or
Yeah. Thankfully, with my ADHD, I also have OCD. So my house is super clean and organized. There's just a whole lot of crazy going on, but it's all clean and organized. So,
Sometimes I find though, if it's too clean, it almost looks staged, right? Like
yeah,
he cleaned it because I was coming. Um,
right.
kind of like to see the natural environment as well, right? Because
Yeah,
you want it to be a little messy and stuff like that, right?
yeah. It has to look like people live there.
Exactly.
If it's totally just too perfect,
Right.
then it seems a little off.
Yeah, it seems like fake, right?
Yeah,
And my house is a disaster all the time. So there's that.
I kind of run on the OCD lines too, so I kind of like have to have everything like at least in order,
Yeah.
cleaned, picked up. Like my walls aren't scrubbed, but I have to have
Yeah.
some sort of cleanliness to it, or it
Yeah.
yeah,
drives me crazy.
yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah, it's got to be clean. It's not dirty, but it's like it's busy, right? There's kids that live
yeah,
here, kids that come here. So,
yeah.
yeah.
Now with my dogs, it's never perfect because
Oh
I
yeah.
swear dogs have more toys than kids. I swear.
I pick up after my dogs more than I do the kids. There's dog toys all over.
Yeah, right?
I'm like, you two are worse than a toddler.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then cleanliness, I think if you're going into a daycare, you would just more so be like stuff all over the place too, because they're
Yeah.
more staged and more set up than it would be for a home.
Yeah.
And I would kind of want my daycare center to feel sterile.
Oh, yeah. For sure. Because
You
there's
know, like
kids, right?
exactly. Yeah. I want it to smell clean.
Yeah, there's more kids, there's more staff, so it's like there's a lot of people going in and out of there. So you want
Yeah,
everything sanitized and for sure.
absolutely.
And it's a different than home-based, right? You want
Yeah,
one that someone lives in, where one is more professional and it's more like a school, and you want that upkeep of
100%.
it.
Yeah.
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 And then some interactions between you and the staff, or like your child and the staff, making sure that it's appropriate fit.
Hmm.
Yeah. Nothing worse than a childcare provider that doesn't speak to the kids when they first meet them. You know, like I know when I have a family come for an interview, I often forget about the parents more so than the kids. So I have to really remember to like, oh, hi, mom and dad. Like,
Yeah.
you know, but you want them to talk to the kids. And I mean, obviously if it's a baby, like there's only so much you can say and such, but especially if it's, you know, that older child that can absolutely interact with you, you should totally be interacting with them.
And I
Absolutely.
find too is that when like for example, at some of the daycares, they want you to take the kid away from the parents and do all that stuff. And I feel like you got to just communicate to them with the parents there.
Hmm.
Build
Yeah,
that trust with them, not just come and like rip the child away from them and, oh, he's mine now.
right. Because I mean, especially during like the interview or the first like walkthrough of the daycare center, that kid doesn't know you. Like they want to be holding on to their mom's hand and they need that security, right? So like talk to them for sure. And as a parent, you want to see how they interact with your child. If they take the child away to go play, you don't get to see any of that because you're talking to the director usually.
Well, and every child's different. So some could come out shy, some could be really playful, some could be whatever their dynamic is. So it's always like just take it with a grain of salt. Just open
Yeah,
it up slowly.
exactly.
Yeah.
You want to look at also how long has the daycare been operating or the day home, whichever. As usually the newer ones are kind of not terrible, but they still have
They they have
kinks they're
growing
working out.
pains. Yeah, they have growing pains, right? And
Absolutely.
yeah, growing pains,
Yeah,
like any
yeah,
business. I would rather
exactly.
I would rather a daycare that's more established or a day home that's more established, right?
For sure. I mean, everyone's got to start somewhere. I totally get that. But for peace of mind, especially for some reason, for me, it feels harder to leave your child in a brand new daycare center than it does in a brand new day home. I'm not sure why, just personally for me, there's so much more going on. There's so much more staff. There's so many more kids. It feels the staff and the daycare should have some experience first. Now, obviously, that's not going to be the case in all situations. It's going to be that first day of operating and that first child. Obviously, that's going to happen. It just for me personally, I feel like a daycare center that's been around for a bit longer is a bit more comfortable for me, I guess.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah, for
And
sure.
I find sometimes with like a day home per se, it would be like, yeah, you might be new in the day home industry, but did you work previously as a daycare, which can also
Yes,
help out,
that's a good point.
right? And whereas a daycare, you don't know who the owners are. You don't, like you've seen in other previous things, you don't know what their educations are. You don't know how that works either.
Right.
They could just be throwing people into it.
Exactly.
Some other things you'd want to look at would be what is the staff turnover rate?
I think this one is super important.
Yes.
They have a really high staff turnover rate. Why? Clearly, their employees aren't happy and they keep leaving. Like, why are
Yeah,
they not happy, right? I think that's a super important one.
absolutely. When I worked at a daycare center, that was the center I worked at. I put everything into that center. That was my classroom, right? So I made it everything I wanted it to be. I probably would have worked there for years and years and years. I decided to open the day home instead, but I would want my staff or the staff that's taking care of my kids, I want them to be there for long periods of time. If their staff turnover rate is super high, something's off. That's a huge red flag.
And you want your children to develop a relationship and not have to develop that relationship and that they leave and they're like, oh no, my favorite person left, and then develop a
Yeah.
relationship with a new person and then that person leaves. Oh no, like that's really hard on kids,
Oh,
right? It's
100%.
like
Yeah.
so, and then especially with them leaving and not even saying goodbye, sort of deal. That's really hard
Yeah.
on kids. I think it's important that they have their special safe people in their life and not have them taken away from them all the time.
Yeah.
Well, and also just looking at their day, they already have so many staff coming in and out of the room, having new ones all the time. What do they really see?
Exactly.
You can also look at has the director of the daycare worked in childcare industry for 2 or more years? Again, regarding their knowledge of their actual center, how it works.
I think this is a big one too, right? We have discussed directors that have zero background in childcare. How are you running that daycare center? You have no clue what goes on. I feel like a director should have worked in a daycare center. They should, they should have the firsthand experience before they're trying to tell their staff what to do. And I mean, it's the same with any industry, right? Like you wouldn't have a principal of a school that's never been a teacher. I don't think. I mean, maybe you do, I don't know, but that just seems you would want them to have that experience.
For sure.
And then it follows into, does the director have any education in childcare? Which technically they should, at generally across the board. At least the director should be a level 3 minimum.
Yeah,
I think they have to be. I don't think there's any way around that. I think they absolutely have to be a level 3.
that was meant to be, does the owner.
I was gonna say, because
Sorry.
We know the
Yeah.
owners don't have any child
Yep.
experience. They're all realtors.
Yep, right. I think that was totally my dig, and I totally got it wrong. My bad.
That's okay.
well, technically they kind of switched it because at one point you could be a floor supervisor and you could only be a level 1, and then they switched it to level 2. So it could have been
Yeah,
one point.
Maybe.
that's true.
What is the release policy that they have, and who can pick up their child? And I think that one's huge.
Absolutely. And it's going to be different within a daycare center versus a day home. The chances of a stranger coming into a day home, knowing it's a day home, knowing the child's name, like to pick them up, that the likelihood of that is just not there, right? I mean, not saying that it couldn't happen, but it's also we have a more personal relationship with the parents. I have never not had a parent let me know that someone other than mom or dad is picking up, right? That just I mean, as a day home provider, we just would not let that kid go with someone we didn't know at all. But I think the likelihood in a daycare center, if someone just wandered in and tried to pick up a random kid, that's more likely, right?
And I know, like, for me, just because of my daycare experience, I always, at the first hand, always ID them. So I know in daycares, they ID them too, but you would have, like, the receptionist that would ID them first, technically, and then move on. Whereas, like, for me, I'd be like, what's their name for their ID? And then they just show me. So
Yeah,
I've had like a grandparent, but she worked daycare and preschool, so she knew, and she walked in and goes, "Here's my ID. This is who I am." And I was like, "Okay,
yeah.
cool." But also knowing your child too, watching the kids and saying like, "Okay, do they really want to go with this person? Do you really want to?"
I'm gonna tell you a funny story. So I had the little one that their dad worked like in the oil fields. So they were gone and then would come back and gone and would come back and stuff. And I had not yet met the dad. And so I had talked to him, but I had not met him face to face yet. Anyway, he was coming to pick up the kid. And the kid was 2, so old enough to know, like, hey, it's my dad. So I bring him to the door and I'm like, hey, buddy, your dad's here. And the kid looks at me totally straight faced and goes, nope. And I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, oh, oh, I'm like, is this your dad? And the dad is like, oh my God, this is not the first time he's done this. But he's like, here's my ID. Let me call my wife. And the kid was just like, no, I don't want to go home.
Well, I have a
Oh my
story for you. I have a story for you too. I don't know if I told you this yet, but I have a little boy that I pick up from the bus. And last week
Oh, yes.
before, yes, so I pick him up
Yeah.
from the bus and I'm like, hi. And I go to grab his hand to cross the street and he's like, who are you? I don't know you. What are you doing? I don't know you. Why are you holding my hand? And I'm like, shh, stop. I'm like, somebody's gonna call the police. He's like, I don't know you though. He's like, why are you holding my hand? I'm like, oh my God. He's a funny kid though. He's a jokester, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's awesome.
it is.
Meanwhile, you're like bright red and like, oh my God,
Right?
stop it.
Yeah, and there's other parents at the bus and they're kind of looking at me. I'm like,
Oh no.
like, let's go really fast.
Right?
Avoid confrontation.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he
Oh,
was
that's
joking. He's
that's
that kind of
funny.
kid. But yeah, it was funny. I thought it was funny. He got in
Yeah.
trouble for it from his mom, but I didn't want him to get
Oh
in trouble.
no.
I told her because I'm like, it's a funny story, and she got mad at me.
Right?
Sorry,
Oh.
buddy. I didn't mean for you to get in trouble. I just want to tell her the funny story.
They're gonna have some great times with that kid when he gets older.
He's hilarious. He's the funniest kid I have. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
hilarious.
My youngest is like that. He says the wrong thing at the wrong time all the time. And he kept us on our toes, man.
You can look also at how long has the day home or the daycare been open. As we've seen previously, that matters at some points.
Absolutely. Yeah. And like I said, not everywhere is gonna have experience, right? You have to start off somewhere. But I mean, even if they're brand new opening like their day home, they've got to have had some experience with kids would help, right? Otherwise, they are in for a shock too. So
What do you like best about being the childcare providers?
I think that's a good one for sure. Right? Could you imagine asking someone, what do you like best about being a childcare provider? And them just being like, I like to be home in my pajamas.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that would be brutal. I mean, you have to have a good answer for that, right?
You
But
do.
don't get me wrong, the pajamas is great. It's a great bonus. I love pajama day, but you've got to have a better answer than that.
But a lot of people will just say, "Oh, it's easy money," or it's because it's babysitting.
Well, I don't know. Would somebody say that in an interview?
I've had some people say that.
Really? Oh, that's weird. If somebody asked me what I like best about being a childcare provider, I wouldn't be like, well, it's easy money.
Right? I mean, first of all, our job is not easy,
No, it's
right? Like, I mean, we work our butts off, but it's also like I couldn't imagine anyone saying that, but I guess there's people out there.
Like it's not very common, but I've had it like once or twice where I've heard like a coworker just be like, "Well, it's easy money. We just sit here with the
Oh,
kids all day," and you're like, "Really?
right?
That's not what you want to say."
Yeah, no kidding.
But then that can leads into asking, "Why do you love this job?
Yeah.
What's your purpose of doing the job?" Like digging a little deeper into it.
Oh, exactly.
Mhm.
This isn't a job that you do for years if you don't love it, right? If you don't love what you're doing, you get out quick because it's a hard job. I could not imagine if I did not love working with kids. I could not imagine doing this every day. I don't know, it's not for the faint of heart, man. There's like they test your patience, they test your like self-worth, they test everything, right?
Yes, yes, they do test your self-worth. Absolutely.
Your sanity.
Exactly. Yeah. They have made me question things about myself that I never, right now, it's my toenails. I, right. Weird. I have never looked twice at my toenails. And now I'm like, oh, they are weird. They do look odd. They're correct. What's going on? I could not imagine
Oh, that's
if you didn't love doing it every day.
But then I feel like that also just blends in with the high turnover rates too, right? Because if you don't
Yeah.
like your job, yeah, it could
Yeah.
be like on the other side of like financial and that too, but kind of goes hand in
True.
hand.
Yeah.
And then we can also say about does everyone have their criminal record and vulnerability?
vulnerable.
Vulnerability?
Vulnerable.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Does everyone have their criminal record and vulnerable sector checks and first aid? That's
I
okay.
get tongue-tied
I
easy.
can't say femimim. Femimum. I'm very femimum. Femimum. You're not the only one, see?
Oh, for years, I could not say reservoir. I couldn't say that. And what was it? Ethiopia. For some reason, don't ask me why that came up in my life so often, but it like my husband made fun of me for not being able to say it. It took me forever. Yeah. I mean, let alone the fact that there's certain words I cannot seem to get the Canadian accent right with, which as I'm editing the podcast, I'm like, oh, there's another one. But yeah, some words are just hard, man.
Well, and I'm from Montreal, so I get the French words mixed up with the English ones, and I'm like, like no.
Okay, so yeah, so everyone has to have their vulnerable,
Okay,
their
so
criminal record check.
their vulnerable sector checks and first aid and criminal record check. Yeah, those are
Yep.
important to have.
Yeah,
Important.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think even just because you're a day home doesn't mean that you don't have it. You should always have it,
Yeah.
regardless of what you are.
I mean, honestly, I could not imagine not having my first aid. Every time I go to renew it, instead of just doing the quick one, I do the whole thing. I'm like, yep, I'm back here for a whole weekend because it feels better knowing that I really know it. I mean, I don't know how many times I've done it already at this point. Like it's there and I've used a lot of the Heimlich maneuver and stuff. Like I've experienced it, but I'm like, I just feel like I need the full refresh, not just the quick one.
Hmm.
I think it's just important to have anyways, regardless.
Yeah.
I remember, even though it wasn't daycare setting, but I remember like walking home and seeing like an older gentleman that cracked his head on the rocks and like no one would stop for him.
Oh
And it's
my
like
God.
having first aid, just go and help the guy, even if it's just standing there talking to him.
Yeah. Oh,
You should have it at least.
yeah. I've been the first person on the scene of a car accident. The car in front of me hit a moose and like it caved in their windshield and everything. And I was like, this is my time to shine because the weekend prior, I had just redone my first aid. I was like, I got this. I was so proud of myself. I took off my shirt and wrapped it around the guy's head. I was like, oh, this was incredible. And my friend who was with me was like, what the hell? She's like, the look of excitement on your face was not needed for that. I got to use my first aid. It was so great. Yeah, that's me.
I would say when you go into like any agency or daycare, you should look for their last inspections from licensing, and did they have any non-compliances regarding that? If so, what kind of non-compliances were they?
And I believe if you ask, they are obligated to tell you. They have to tell you what they were, when they had their inspection, all that stuff. And
That's a
for
good
anyone
one.
that doesn't, yeah, for anyone that doesn't know, you can look up free daycare center on albertachildcarelookup.com. It will list every daycare center in your area, and you can see all their inspections and non-compliances and all that. The difference with the agency-run day home is any non-compliances they get, they go through the agency. They don't list it as the individual day home. It's the agency that has the non-compliances, which I actually don't agree with that. I think the individual day homes should be listed, but that's just my 2 cents.
Well, and it makes sense. If it's going to be online anyways, they might as well just tell you.
Yeah,
Why keep it?
exactly. And I mean, my little tangent, but if you're with an agency, you are supposedly like regulated, therefore you are better than, as society would like to say they are. So if that's the case, why are they not listed under you? Why are they hidden under your agency? Anyway, rant over.
You can look at the food in their kitchen, which previously with the E. coli, which strongly recommend.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I had an interview once and the mom totally threw me for a loop and was like, "Can I look in your fridge?" And of course, it was the day before grocery shopping day. So I felt terrible because it was pretty empty, but I did explain that. And I was like, okay, like, of course you can look in my fridge. And she's like, you can tell a lot about a person by the insides of their fridge. And I was like, all right, help yourself. And then tell me, what does it tell you about me? But yeah, she just like, okay, like it's clean. There's good food in there. And I'm like, I haven't grocery shopped yet though, so it is pretty empty. But yeah, she was just fair enough. I still don't know what you can tell by people from looking in their fridge, but I absolutely would do it because if their fridge is disgusting, that would tell me a lot, I guess. But if it's like clean and normal looking, I don't know what I would get out of that. But unless you
Yeah.
have an avocado, ugh, gross. That would tell. Sorry.
Could also ask, can I look in your car? See how clean your
Yeah,
car
that's
is?
that's a good one.
I've heard that one too before. You can tell a lot about a person on what the inside of their vehicle looks like.
I can see that though.
Yeah.
Yeah, my Jeep's pretty clean.
Yeah, I like my inside very, very clean. My
Yeah.
husband, on the other hand, Like, don't look at
Does it count when your kids don't keep it clean?
uh, yeah, it still counts.
Mine is covered in dog hair. So other than that, it's clean. There's
Yeah.
just dog hair. But yeah, no, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Another thing that we see a lot of is diapering and potty training. What does that look like in a center or a day home?
This is the big one. This is probably the thing we see the most on social media with how do you handle it? What do you do? My kid won't potty train. They have to wear pull-ups. I don't want them to wear pull-ups. Yeah, that's definitely a big one. So you got to make sure that lines up with your potty training plans.
And day home versus daycare will be totally different
Yeah,
because daycare follows more of a strict age range, where a day
right.
home can kind of work with you a little bit on it. Not
Yeah,
everyone, but like for me, for example, if you want your kid at 18 months sitting on a potty, I'll put her on, but I ain't taking the
yeah,
diaper away kind of thing.
right.
So it just matter of where it lies.
And if you're going to have cloth diapers, if that's going to be your thing, give your provider a heads up before they start. Don't bring them day one with cloth diapers and expect them to be prepared.
And like some daycares can't accommodate cloth diapers the
Yeah,
way you want to have it done. So you have to also know that too, that you might be going home with a lot of poop.
100%.
Some other things you want to look at is emergencies and how are they handled.
Whether or not they have an emergency plan. Emergency evacuation plan.
So I remember the first time I was asked about my emergency evacuation plan. I think like I was new. I'd only been open a few months maybe. And like an idiot, I was like, well, I'd get out of the house. That was my answer.
Well,
I
it's
was
true.
like,
We
what
run
do you
out the
mean?
door.
Yeah, I learned from that. But I was like, what do you mean? Of course we'd get out. Like, what more do you need? But I mean, now I know more, obviously, but that it threw me.
And then I would consider this part of emergency, but what is the procedure if your child got seriously injured or ill while in care?
For sure.
Because technically it can be emergency, especially if they're seriously injured.
I know for myself, I 911 first. If it's that serious, 911 first. I will contact parents after. But I am not stopping to contact mom and dad prior to an ambulance if that's required, right? So,
I've had like a fever seizure, and that was pretty much the same
yeah,
thing in daycare was 911 first, then the parents, and then whatever you need to do after that.
yeah,
And those are scary as hell.
absolutely. Especially if it's the first time you've ever seen one.
Oh yeah,
Terrifying.
like I looked at the child and I was like, you gotta watch him. He looks like he's about to have a seizure. And literally, as I said that, he like full on seized. And I was like,
And that was a
Yeah,
fever seizure.
yep.
So a parent sent their sick child with.
So what happened was he looked okay during the day and then he got really, really dull up until lunchtime. So we called the parents to come pick him up. But because they worked downtown and they took the C train and all that, it took them almost an hour to get to him. And by that hour time, he had a seizure.
Crazy.
yikes. Yeah, mine, the kid came in the morning and the mama just said, yeah, he didn't sleep very good last night. But she had checked to see if he had a fever and nothing. No fever, was totally fine. He was just playing, and it was maybe an hour and a half after they dropped him off. And he had got a fever that spiked so much to give him a seizure within that time. But I didn't even know he had a fever. I just saw the seizure because he was still playing. He was acting normal. I did not even, I mean, we don't go around taking the temperatures of kids all day long for no reason, right? So there was no reason to think anything was wrong. So when he had the seizure, I had no idea. Phone 911, and then the parents later said the mom used to do that when she was little, but he hadn't done it yet, so they had no idea that he
That's
was going
wild.
to. Yeah, so crazy.
And the one that I saw, he had it 4 more times in the same month.
Wow.
it was just at home instead because obviously the
Yeah.
first one they're like, no, we're going to keep him home. And he had four more within that whole month.
Wow. Yeah. These parents, they kept him home. Even if he just hadn't slept well that night, they kept him home the next
Yeah.
day because they're like, we don't know. So
And then another one could be, must children be immunized in order to attend?
everyone's gonna have a different policy, right?
I think that one will be pretty much based on each provider or each center or how that would work.
Yeah.
Because I know, like, I had a kid that had chicken pox, and his mom didn't realize that he didn't have the shot for it. So I think it all just depends on personal preference.
Yeah. My kids both had chickenpox and they were both immunized. They were just special kids. Because apparently you can still catch it. Usually it's like very mild, which my oldest, his was really mild. My youngest, he had them absolutely everywhere. You couldn't put a finger between spots anywhere on his body. And I was like, did we forget the chickenpox vaccine? Like, what happened there? But nope, he was just special.
It's all right.
Yeah,
Happens. I had chicken pox, right? I
yeah,
almost think it's maybe better to have it and get it done and over with, right?
yeah. I
So,
mean, I had chickenpox, I had the measles, I had the mumps, I got it all.
My son caught hand, foot, and mouth and rubella at the same time. And when he had hand, foot, and mouth, it literally looked like he had a farmer's tan. So from like his fingers right to his elbow was just like sheer blisters. And then all around his mouth, he looked like he
Crazy.
had syphilis, but that was it.
Yeah.
And then he had
Ah,
rubella where it was all up his stomach and it was a mess. I was like, "Phew." Well, he had hand, foot, and mouth, and then he brought it home to dad. Dad caught it. Because when I got pregnant for my daughter, I was like,
oh,
can I not catch this? And they're like, no, you can't. You've been exposed too much to it, so you already technically caught it without symptoms. But he
see,
passed it on to dad.
I've heard that hand, foot, and mouth disease as an adult is absolutely brutal.
It is.
You do not want this as an adult, and it can be reoccurring
Yep.
as
yep.
well. I've heard, but I heard it's absolutely brutal, 100 times worse than kids. So, yeah.
Oh yeah, dad, I kind of felt bad afterwards because I was like, "Oh, you just have the man cold. Like, get over yourself." And then like his whole bottom of his feet, he couldn't walk because he had blisters everywhere. And I was like, "Oh, you have hand, foot, and mouth. Like, sucks to be you."
We, so I had a day home dad that got it. Like his kid had like one or two spots. And so we're like, oh, no big deal. And then the dad ended up getting all these spots. But I was like, hey, look, like the mom and I were like, look, the kid was just fine. Like he had it, he was fine. Chill out. You'll be okay. Like, get over it. Stop exaggerating. We were kind of mean to this dad because we thought he was just having his man cold with hand, foot, and mouth. And he's like, no, it really, really hurts. And we're like, you're fine. You're such a baby. And then the mom got it. She's like, oh my God, this is awful. I was like, oh no. And for whatever reason, if mom gets it and is like, it's awful, then we're like, oh, okay, we
Okay,
believe
they
you.
were, yeah, they were
Poor
like,
dad.
this must be serious. And mom says it's
Right?
awful.
The dad was so mad. He's like, you two did not believe me. But yeah, I was just thinking, I'm like, oh, I'm good. I didn't get it, thankfully.
Okay, well, that brings us to what is the sickness policy?
Yeah, and thanks to COVID, everyone has crazy, crazy sickness policies.
Right?
I
If
mean,
you
I think
sniff, you're going home. If you sneeze, you're gone.
right.
No.
I saw a mom post that her child had to blow their nose 3 times in 1 hour and got sent home from daycare.
Oh, that's
Could
terrible.
you imagine 3 times?
That's
Yes. I'd rather them blow their nose than the constant sniffing and wiping it up their arm, right? Like
yeah.
allergies and yeah, kids blow their nose, man. Kids always
Well,
have
and
a
I
runny nose.
And daycare's a lot stricter than like us. Like for me, as long as they're still able to be up and running and playing and doing their own thing, I was like, I'll take a runny nose. I get
Yeah.
it. But daycare is really strict. They send you home for everything. And then
Yeah.
you have to stay out.
And really, once they've got the symptoms, everyone else has already got it,
Yep.
right? Like,
Yeah, I'm totally cool with a mild cold, right?
yeah,
If I had to send kids home for a little bit of a runny nose or a little bit of a cough, or I'd be out of business, right?
yeah.
So
Oh,
I'm okay with a
100%.
mild cold. If your child has a fever and
Yeah.
Yeah,
is like lethargic on my couch, then yeah, you need to go home,
yeah,
right? But a little basic cold, I mean, it's gonna happen, right?
yeah,
It's fine. I work. I work when I have a cold, right? If I
yeah.
took all the days off from having a little cold, I'd be out of business. So yeah.
I know not everyone does this, but like I worked through the stomach flu the one time.
Oh, I
But
had
Yeah.
been, yeah, I worked through food poisoning. I'd be in the bathroom throwing up and having, yeah, like I work through everything. I never take a day off.
and I was like, I might as well work because they all had it one by one anyway. So what's
Yeah.
the point of closing when they're going down one by one? Might as
Yeah.
well keep it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do my best to stay open all the time. I mean, I worked with a broken heel. I was in a boot
Me
camp.
too. Me too. I worked with a broken foot.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. It's important to ask about curriculum and daily routine, what they are doing in a day. What does your day look like?
Right? I do not want my 2-year-old sitting at a desk learning math.
No, no, no. They spend 12 years in school, plus 12 years plus.
Yeah,
Let them be kids, right?
yeah,
Let them play.
absolutely.
And I
Yeah,
think some people just forget that.
Oh,
But
for sure.
they think kindergarten, it's school, they have to do this, they have to do that. Let's get them going. And it's not like these are like their basic years. Teach them about life
Yeah.
first.
yeah,
And I don't understand where the disconnect with they learn that in kindergarten changed from they have to know all that prior to kindergarten. Like,
right.
what's the point of kindergarten then if you're going to teach them everything they need to know in kindergarten before they go?
They will learn. They will learn.
Right?
It's okay. Let kids be kids.
Yeah.
They will learn. They're not going to fall behind. They don't know how to read. They don't need to know how to read at a grade 2 level in kindergarten.
No. And I mean, if that's what they're interested in, if that's what they absolutely love, by all means,
Oh,
like, we get those kids, but do not
absolutely.
force
Work.
it on them.
Yeah, if they want to learn it, work with it, right? Run with it. But if they just want to be kids and play, just let them be kids and play. I mean,
Yeah.
And you can teach them all different ways too. So like you still teach them the alphabet without sitting there with a letter A in front of them.
mhm.
Like it doesn't have to be that structured. So I think maybe just going into it with kind of what you believe to go into it with. Because like I do very play based. Like you guys go learn how to do the kitchen, go learn how to like cook and do all that. But they also still learn how to count on their fingers and do things like that.
Oh, exactly. And honestly, play is the best way to learn the basic stuff that the kids need to know.
What if my child needs medication during the day? Do you ladies administer medication?
If the parents bring their antibiotics, then absolutely. Or kids with asthma, no problem.
And I do it a little different. I send a picture of the dose that I'm giving to the child with the timestamp to the parent.
Okay, I have a little boy who's on ADHD meds, and I give him his medication every morning. I had one that had a toe thing. His toenail was falling off, and I gave him Tylenol for his mom, right? Like,
Yeah,
I'll do those. I'm okay with it.
right. I mean, we're here to take care of the kids. If
Exactly.
that is part of their care, then that's what they need.
I'm not gonna say no, so yeah.
No.
I rarely do it, but I just do it that way. Just then at least the parents can't come back at me if they did anything. But
Yeah.
if they really need it, I'll give it to them. I'll be like, put it in. And I just don't like keeping the medicine because their weights are always changing as they grow.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So I rather, if you're bringing it that morning, tell me how much they weigh or what dose I give them that morning and then be done with it.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
I don't get medicine very often.
No, for me, it's inhalers seems to be the main one, and like occasional antibiotics. But usually, if the kids are like requiring Tylenol for anything other than teething, then they're usually not here anyway. So,
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. All right. Another good one is how often are the toys cleaned?
I mean, this can go either way, right? Like if you're sterilizing the toys every single day, that's a whole lot of work.
Well, for a day home, I don't think they need to be sterilized
No,
every single day.
no.
Maybe in the daycare, right? Because there is so many kids, but in a
Oh,
day
for
home,
sure. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
honestly, I clean as I go, right? Like if
Yeah.
something needs to be wiped down, I'm gonna wipe it down.
Well, and I think too with the daycare, it's also because there's so many kids going room to room, especially at the end of the day. They're moving kids. It's not like our home where we have the set kids all the time, same
Yeah,
kids,
Right.
same
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
But I do it weekly. I hate doing it weekly though. Unless it's toys that go in their mouth, then it gets put in my sink right away.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
I have older kids, so they don't even really play with toys anymore.
Right.
Very rarely will they pull out the toy bins.
Yeah.
They like to use their imaginations and play outside, and they like to draw and color and stuff like that. So,
Well, I call my kids broken because they don't take a chalk and like write on the chalk with it. They actually like put it into a million pieces and then they go to the play kitchen and then they start cooking with
yeah,
it. So I
yeah,
know they're using their imagination,
yeah,
but
yeah.
can you guys use it properly a little bit?
That's no fun. Okay, nap time. Are you flexible? So I know that my friend's son's daycare, he is 4, and she asked if they could stop naps, and they said no, that he still
Huh.
needs to nap. And she's like, well, he's 4. And they're like, nope, he needs to nap. For me, it's not a big deal, right?
Yeah.
I would I wouldn't force them to nap. Like you do have to understand, these kids are napping during the day at 4 years old. They're not going to bed till really late, right? And
And
then
I
have
mean, it's okay for them to have like a rest time, right?
oh
Like
yeah,
a
for sure.
quiet
Like a
time type thing.
oh yeah.
Absolutely. But
Oh yeah, for sure. Totally have a
a
quiet time.
forced nap time? No. Although I will tell parents that I do not wake sleeping children. If your child falls asleep, it's because they're tired.
Oh yeah,
Like I'm
you
not going to make them go to sleep, but
no
if
no
they're asleep, I mean, within reason,
no.
I'm
Yeah.
not letting, hey, it's been a 5 hour nap. Can we wake up now? No, no. Like there's it within reason, but
That's where that easy money comes in.
right. Do you imagine how boring it would be? Oh my God.
I've
Yeah.
even had kids that were like 2.5 that stopped nap because mom wanted them to stop. And it's what mom wants. I'm not going to go against you. I'm
Yeah.
not the one that has to lose sleep at the end of the night. So
Mine stopped at around 2.5 is when my kids stopped napping.
I'm a little different. I let them bring their iPads for quiet.
You're not different. I let them bring them too. I do allow electronics, and I have school age kids. Like
Yeah.
they have electronics. They do,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, for sure.
They're in school all day and they just want to come home and unwind. And I'm like, if you
Yeah.
want to bring your phone, if you want to bring your iPad, you can bring it as long as it's appropriate, right? Appropriate content on there. And
Exactly.
that's
Well, and
it.
all mine are all family. So they
Yeah.
all play the same games together that like matches on it.
They
And I was like,
connect. They
yeah,
connect with each other on these games and they play together, right?
Yeah.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah. Kids need their downtime too.
They do, especially older ones, right?
Yeah.
So, alrighty. So what is used for nap time? I know that playpens are not allowed, correct? They're
Correct. There is an exception. There is a certain type that has to actually say on the box approved in Canada for nap time or for sleeping, sorry.
Okay.
There's not many of them.
Okay.
I should look up the brand. I don't remember what the brand is, but there are like one, maybe two different types that are approved for sleep. Agency run day homes cannot have playpens. Private, there isn't the rule there, but there's a reason they're not allowed at daycare centers and at agency run day homes. So I feel like if the majority says no, then it's kind of there's a reason for it. So I
Yeah.
just took it on myself to look into what the reasons were, and I'm like, oh, the comfort, the whatever. So I replace them all with cribs, but can as long as it states from the manufacturer that they are approved for sleep in Canada. It can't just be the US ones because they are different. It has to be in Canada.
Hmm. Interesting. What about cots? Like what do you use cribs? Ugh.
I
Do you
use cribs for for the little ones, and then like a cot type thing for the older ones.
Okay.
And
See,
I
with
use cots all around.
yeah, my school age kids, sometimes they come. I have one that comes at like 6 a.m. and she's still really tired and she just crashes on the couch.
Yep.
Grabs a pillow and a blanket and falls asleep on the couch.
Yeah,
So,
that's the thing that sometimes parents need to remember. Like their day is so long.
mhm.
Like especially when parents are saying they don't want their 2-year-old to nap. That's fine, but if they show up at 7 and they're not leaving till 5 and they've been outside all morning and then they're going to be outside again all afternoon, dude, I would like a nap.
Yeah, right?
You know?
It's true. It's true. It's
So
exhausting. Their days are
yeah,
long and yeah.
yeah. So I think parents need to be a bit more reasonable there sometimes on both sides, right? Like it's
Yeah.
not okay to be forcing 4-year-olds to nap. It's not okay to be forcing 2-year-olds to stay awake. But that's where the key comes. Forcing on either side. If they're falling asleep on their own, fine. If they're not falling asleep because they're not tired, that's okay too.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Definitely. I agree. Okay, this is a good one. Discipline. So I know that timeouts aren't allowed anymore. Am I right?
Okay, so time out, no, but time away.
Oh,
Same
okay.
thing. It's the
It's
same
the
thing.
wording. It's the wording. Okay.
It is the same thing.
Timeouts, technically, you would put them in a corner and isolate them or whatever, whereas time aways, you could put them in like an area that still has toys, books, whatever. They're just not with the group at the moment.
You know what we call that at school? We call it a reset. You need to have
Oh,
a
that's a good
reset,
one.
right?
Yeah,
So you're on your own and it gives you a moment to just take a deep breath, calm down, and just be away from all the chaos. Like you're having a reset, right? You're having a
yeah,
bad moment, you're going and you're having a reset, which is,
yeah.
yeah, I never
That's
thought
a
of
good way to word it. Yeah.
that.
I am guilty for like if they need a moment, I'm like, do you need a timeout? That's not, but I mean, I will say to them, Joanne needs a timeout. Just give me a second. So I don't necessarily mean it the same way, but I really should change that wording. So I like that, the
Yeah,
reset thing.
reset. Yeah,
Yeah,
just setting. It's a good word. I
Even
agree.
with my kids, I use like a 5 minute calm down. You need to go have
yeah,
your 5 minutes calm down, then we come back.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I'm old, man. Timeouts were fine when my kids were little. That's what was encouraged. Like when my own kids were little. Like I used to say to them, if you don't knock it off, you're going on a big timeout. I don't know what that meant. It just sounded like
It just
great,
sounded really scary.
right? And they were like, oh no. And so they would like knock it off. If they had ever called me on it, I'd have been like, dude, I don't know. Like, please stop doing what you're doing.
Oh, that's funny. Has there ever been any serious injuries or illnesses in the center or day home? I think that, yeah,
I think it just helps to find out how did they respond to it if there is. Not that like they don't need to give you details because they legally they cannot. But
oh,
I mean, ask but don't ask. I think sometimes it's just nice to know how they've handled experiences in the
yeah,
past so that you can have that comfort knowing that they would handle it well.
Yeah.
I
Well,
also think it goes along with like the website too, right? With your information there, licensing. I
yeah,
can't remember.
that's what I was gonna say. It kind of goes hand in hand with that. But I see how it's different, right? So like, have you ever had a child, break a bone? Or have you had an outbreak in your day home, right? So it's a little bit different, but
Yeah, because
I've
it'd
had a
be
child.
procedures, right? So,
I took the kids in the summertime. We go out all day, every day, and we go to pump tracks a lot, and they bring their
oh,
scooters.
nice.
Yeah, they bring their scooters, and I had one fall off her scooter and break her wrist. I was like, great.
Ouch.
Yeah,
I
well,
had
parents.
one. I had one that she literally stood up and she was little. She literally stood up, tripped over her own foot, and smacked her forehead right into the corner of the wall. That's the metal piece of it. And like had to go get stitches done. And she
Oh,
still to this
no.
day goes, my head.
Aw, that's like
Oh,
something I would do.
But that's like my most severe that I've ever
Yeah,
had.
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I do a lot of outdoor things with them in the summer, so I'm always, always worried about injuries.
yeah.
Always. So, do you take the children off site? That's a good question.
Yeah. Because there's procedures to follow, like, you've got to have a field trip form and all that stuff. And, I used to, I don't now.
I was gonna say, I'm like, oh, I'm a little different.
Oh,
I tell my parents, I'm like, pack a bag, put a swimsuit, put a towel, put some sunscreen, and if we go, we go. If we don't, we don't. Right? I'm
yeah.
like, it depends on the day. Some days we'll go to the outdoor pool over in Turner Valley. Some days we'll go to the neighborhood water park. Some days we'll go to the pump track. Some days we'll just go to the park. You know what I mean? So, and I never have a plan. It's always weather depending. It's always mood depending of my preteens and
Yeah.
right?
I
So
mean, I think it's a little different for
for older
like,
kids.
yeah, for the older
Yeah.
kids. And you have the parents' consent prior,
Yeah, I
right? So
tell them.
they know that that's a
I tell them.
possibility.
I'm
Yeah.
like every day it's just like it's a whim. We may stay home, we may go out, we may who knows, right?
Yeah, which
So
is amazing, which that is great for kids that age for sure. And that's
yeah,
one of the benefits of being with a day home too, that
yeah,
you can do that, right? A daycare center, everybody has to sign that permission form. If they don't, that child is not able to go on that field trip.
yeah, yeah. I don't
So,
even have a permission for.
And I only take my kids when I have like one or two. I
Yeah,
ain't taking all six of them. That's madness.
right?
yeah.
Yeah, I used to. I mean, I live in a lake community, so I used to take them down to the lake and stuff when my kids were older, or when my kids were younger, sorry. So they were here to help me. So
Mhm.
I had the extra hands and stuff. It's a lot of work, man.
It's a lot of work when you're around water.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I
And I mean, occasionally we'll head off to a park, but there again, I have to have like a low kid number that day. And that's just because I don't
That's
want
because they're
to.
so young and young kids are harder to manage, right? Whereas
Yeah,
mine are older and they're perfectly
yeah. If
fine.
I had older kid, like if I did before and after school, absolutely. I would
Yeah.
totally be all over field trips. I used to love doing field trips with the kids.
Yeah. Last summer, we went for a hike in Kananaskis.
That's amazing. I would
It
love to
was
do stuff like
so
that.
much fun. We went to Troll Falls. It's not a massive hike, it's small. They got to see a beautiful waterfall at the end. That was their favorite day ever. They absolutely loved it. We had so much fun that day. I love
Yeah,
doing stuff like that with them. Just, yeah, it's a
yeah. If
blast.
I ever do before and after school, I would do that. But then I'd have to get a bigger car. They won't all fit in my Jeep.
Yeah, I have an expedition, so
Nice.
yeah.
That gives you the space for sure.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Okay, will the children be driven to school or field trips?
Yeah. Yeah, you got to know that.
Yeah. Well, we're not walking to Kananaskis. So.
I mean, you can, but it's going to take a while.
And I think a lot of people think that I think a lot of people should know that in advance, even with a daycare. So when they're starting school, can they be driven to and from school if they were
Mhm.
going to school? Maybe not field trips or whatever, but like at least school, because
Yeah,
you don't want to always up and go, because childcare right now,
Yeah.
it's hard to find spots.
especially for before and after school.
Yep.
They definitely seem to be the tough ones to find spots for. So,
I have a little one right now on a wait list for daycare for the before and after school, and he doesn't start school for another year and a bit.
Yeah.
crazy.
And it's just so that way he's on the list and he's ready to go for when they need it.
School I pick up from has lots of space, so it's gonna put me out of business soon.
Oh no. I don't know. I would much rather, especially my like school age kids, I'd much rather them be in a smaller setting with that they can go on field trips and stuff. I don't want them in the school that they were just in school all day and now they're still in that school for
Oh,
hours like after.
you
Like,
know
no
what?
thanks.
I've had this discussion so many times. I'm like, do you really want your children in school for 10 plus hours a day? Like that is they're
Right?
in the same box all day. Like
Yeah.
let them come with me.
Right?
Different
Oh,
scenery,
absolutely.
right? Different environment, different everything. Like I don't know.
But
I
then
can't
like
do it.
PD days and like
Yeah,
um
like every day you
like
get zero
spring
break.
break and all that, they go right back to school.
You get
No
zero
thanks.
breaks. You play at the same playground that you play at multiple times a day. There's no change. I'm sure it's fun, right? But I mean, there's just no change. Like it needs to be different. I don't know.
Yeah. It might be okay. I don't know if it's the same fun, but in the summertime, like my kids, like my own two kids, when they like were just hanging out like for on summer break, whatever, they didn't want to do anything. They wanted to just relax. If they didn't want to go anywhere that day, they didn't have to.
I
And
wish.
well, I just made like I'm sure the kids like with you, they get to just if they really want to just chill out for a bit, they can chill out.
Oh
They're
yeah.
not in their school
Yeah,
setting,
totally.
right? Like the whole before and after school care within the school is so weird to me that
And
the kid would want to be there. Like now you don't get any spring break, you don't get any summer holidays because you're going back to school.
yeah.
Like sure, you're doing different activities, you're not working in the classroom, but you're still going back to school. Could you imagine like
No.
if working at your job and you get your 2 weeks off and you go to your job
To have your 2 weeks off.
like what?
Yeah.
Like
You
that,
maybe
like
not
you
be
don't have to
working,
work, but yeah, right?
but you're
That
still
just it's I'm like
no, I feel that.
kids need to reset their brain. They need like school is great, absolutely. Not being in school is just as important for them.
Yeah.
And going for school like before and after school care to a different place other than school, 100% better.
Yeah.
Just my opinion, but 100% better than going to a
Yeah.
before and after school care within a school setting.
And
I
it's
would
always
never put
like
my kids in
so I worked at a school a few years ago, and the before and after school care was in a classroom, literally in a classroom. So
that.
it's
Oh
like
my God.
going from school to daycare school to, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
yeah. And then, so the school I work at now, it's in the gym, which is great, but I don't know, it's in the gym. Like there's not even a window.
right?
There's no
I just
windows in the gym. I'm like,
as someone who hated school so much, I would have been mortified if my parents would have sent me to a before and after school care within school.
yeah.
Like, no, no, you're in school for so long.
Hmm.
And now let's extend that time. Like, no thanks. And I mean, I get some parents do it because they have to. Like, I'm not judging parents per se. I'm just saying
Yeah.
my opinion.
Yeah.
I think it's better for the kids if they're in a before and after school setting that is not in a school setting.
Absolutely. I absolutely agree with you. Yeah. There's
Granddaughter.
no doubt. There's no doubt. Okay, so does the provider have appropriate class 4 driver's license?
Okay, so here's the thing with this. You are only required to have the class 4 if you are specifically being paid to drive those children. So you know how like the new fees, they can add a fee for transporting the kids. Now you need a class 4.
Okay,
If they are, yeah, you as when you take them on field trips and stuff, you're not being paid specifically to take them on field trips. You are, that's just a bonus. So
right,
that's where it's different. If you are paid to drive for work, you are required to have a class 4 driver's license. Or if you are driving like the 15 passenger van, those types, then you need a class 4 driver's
right,
license.
right.
But if so, all the providers that have decided to charge an extra fee for transporting the kids to school and back, now you need a class 4.
Right.
But if you don't charge that extra fee and drive them to school and back, you don't need a class 4.
Okay.
So it's a very gray area.
Yeah, absolutely.
So basically, if you're an Uber, you need a class 4.
Yes. Yeah, a class 4 driver's license is for a professional driver. So taxis, Ubers,
Right.
all that, you need class 4. So when they put in their contract that this extra fee is for driving the kids to school and back, now you need a class 4.
Okay.
And I think for daycares, you have to have a class 4 regardless.
Yeah.
I'd have to
I had
ask
to.
someone, but
Yeah, no, I had to get my class 4 to drive the kids like to school and back when I worked at the daycare center, and I've just kept it. Makes my insurance better.
Cool. All right. So what are the pickup and drop off policies?
So some have like you have to sign in, you have to sign out, you have to log into their app. I don't know how that works. I just say, hello, good morning.
Yeah, that's what I do. I
Here.
just say hello, good morning, and then goodbye, and
Yeah.
that's it, right? I don't make them
Yeah.
sign to anything.
and at most I do is just put their name on a calendar so I know who's there that day.
See, I have the same kids every day, so
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm like, do you forget?
No, it's because someone told me back when I opened that you should put them on like a calendar of what days you have it so when tax time for us
Oh, right. Yeah.
per kids, right? Because I have a lot more part-time than I do full-time.
okay. Yeah, and for drop-in and stuff.
So I just write it down on the thing and I have the same kids all the time too, but it's just like one kid might come Friday and one kid might not come Monday. And
Right.
so I just write it down. And I heard someone tell that if someone came to check on us regarding our children of who's there or whatever, at least if you had it written down, it's kind of like proof.
Right.
Oh, okay. I would just show them my Facebook group, like for the parents, like that picture. I'd be like, that's who was there that day.
And do they send photos for daycares? Do they have live streaming? So yeah. Do you send photos every day?
I sure do.
I don't.
So I have a Facebook group that is like private just for the day home parents.
Mhm.
And I post pictures every day in there.
Okay. I think I would do that if I had younger kids for sure. But I
Yeah.
mean, they're only here for a couple hours a day and they're older, so
Oh, exactly.
don't even unless I get like a cute picture of them cuddling with the dog, then I'll, snap it and send it
Yeah.
off. Right? Or if we're on a field trip and stuff, I take lots of pictures, but it's definitely not a daily thing for me.
I do it daily because I do it at nap time. And then I send like a little blurb of their day. So that way at the end of the day, when it's chaotic and everybody wants me, including my own kids,
Yeah.
at least they kind of already know what their day has been
Yeah.
like and I don't have to like go back. But I just like sending them. At least then they can't say, you didn't send me pictures today.
How do we feel about live streaming in daycares?
Oh, I
I'm
have
not okay
issues
with it.
with that.
Yeah, so do I.
No, honestly, we're going to talk about that in a little bit, just a little thing about it, but I cannot believe the amount of parents that are like, I would only send them to a center that has live streams. I'm like, you think that's safe, don't you? I mean, banks get their systems hacked into. Medical, everything can be hacked.
Mm-hmm.
So why? Like, I have cameras. The only person that has access to those are me because A, they don't work very well. And B, you have to have like the passcode and all that stuff, right? But that's one connectivity. The where things get tricky and get hacked is when that information is shared with multiple people.
Hmm.
That's how you get hacked. If it's one person camera, that's not getting hacked. It just isn't because no one's got that information. No one can get that information.
I think it's more though also that a lot of the live streaming isn't voiced. So if a kid is having like a meltdown, someone could be talking to them, but then the parents are taking it wrong, saying you're ignoring my child,
Yes.
and then coming back on the people as well.
Hmm.
So I
Yeah.
think on that hand of it, it's madness.
Oh, absolutely. And you don't know everyone's parents. So, like, you don't know if everyone's mom and dad are totally great, right? So, yeah, there's too many variables. Whether they're hacked or not, everyone who has access to that can watch those kids all day.
Like it can become obsessive too.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
As a
Yeah.
parent, like you can just sit there and if you work in an office where you have multiple computer screens, or you can have it open on the side, and then you're watching your kids all day. I'm like,
Right.
they don't do it in school. Why you gotta do it in daycare?
And that cannot be healthy, right?
No,
For
it's
that
not
parent
healthy.
to be so obsessed.
It's not
You
healthy.
need that break from your kids like they need that break from
Yeah,
you. Like that's just the way it is. And if you can't make it your whole day without staring at a live stream, you're gonna drive yourself crazy.
yeah,
Every time that kid falls, every time another kid is mean to them, like you're gonna be judging and trying to like rationalize everything that they're doing.
yeah,
No, that's not good for you.
yeah.
That's,
No, I
you know,
totally agree. Yeah, I
yeah,
wouldn't be okay with it. Like I have cameras here, but that's they're not live. Well, they're live, but they're not live streaming. And I
exactly. Yeah,
have used them to look back on, right? Like if something
yeah,
happens, if the kids get into a fight, like an argument, like right? Like
yeah,
so I have looked back on them for that, but yeah, I don't know. I
yeah.
wouldn't be okay with live streaming.
No, mine are more like a glorified baby monitor.
Okay.
Right? So when they're napping, I can keep an eye on them. Is basically that, and I have one that sticks out my front
Oh,
window so I can see if
yeah.
like when my dogs are losing their shit, I know whether I actually need to come upstairs or if they're losing their shit because the neighbor got home.
I have them all
So
around my house. I have them all around the outside of my house. So when the kids are playing in the backyard, I have a TV set up and I can actually see everything from inside
oh,
my
that's a good
house,
idea.
outside of my house.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea.
Yeah. So
Because
those
I
kids,
mean, you've got older kids, they don't want you
no,
sitting there watching them all the time.
no, they don't. No. And sometimes they use bad words. They can't control themselves.
Right?
Oh, they're so funny. Alrighty. Is there a late pickup fee? That's a good question too.
Yeah.
I don't have one. I had a dad once tell me that he appreciates me so much because I am very flexible, but his friend's daycare charged $1 a minute.
I have in my contract, I can't
Oh
remember
my
exactly
God.
what it is,
Don't
but
tell me you have $1 a minute.
it is like obscene. I can't remember. I want to say it's like $20 for the first 10 minutes. And
Yeah.
then like it's just I've never charged that. I just don't want you to pick up late.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, shit happens, right? Like especially in the winter. I get it. You're stuck in traffic. You're 5 minutes late,
Yes.
whatever.
Yes.
It's there to discourage you from picking up late because you had to stop at a grocery store. That's all. My day ends at 5. I'd really like it.
I've never, yeah, I've never had that issue. I've never had parents pick up late, ever, ever, ever. Like they make a point to be on time unless there's like hardcore traffic. That's completely out
Yeah,
of their hands. I'm not going to charge them
exactly.
$1 a minute, right?
I've
So,
I have had one family that very much took advantage of it, and that's where my extreme cost came from because they 7:30. I'm like, where the And I had like messaged them, no response, called them, no response. And I'm like, and I mean, I'm not the person, I'm not calling your emergency contacts because you're late to pick up. You know where your kids are. You're going to come eventually. It is what it is. And I was like, what is going on? And they didn't respond at all. The dad was golfing and thought the mom was picking up. The mom had gone out of town and the dad knew, but he had like messed up the days, whatever, and he was on the golf course. And I
Crazy.
was like, dude, but why? And like, I'm the mom, I'm like, why didn't you just answer? She's like, it wasn't my night, it was dad's. I'm like, yeah, but I am calling. Like, and I was just,
She was trying to prove a point, and
exactly.
you
I'm
were
like,
the
you missed your
victim.
target. Yeah. And so I'm like, forget this noise. I am making this huge late payment. And I had to charge them twice this late payment, but nobody else has ever been charged late payment.
Yeah.
They just, yeah. So yeah, I am that asshole that has that
I have one
ridiculous
too.
rate.
I have one exactly the same. It's like $20 ridiculous, but like I tell them, as long as you tell me beforehand that you're coming late, it is
Exactly.
what it is.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I just don't want you showing up late randomly, but
Yeah.
for the most
yeah,
part, they are never ever late.
Yeah.
My kids literally go home right away when they're done work.
yeah. Like we work 10-hour days, right? So at 5 o'clock, I'm done. I'm tired.
Yeah.
I'm old now. I can't do it the same. I need my time. But yeah, it's more of a preventative thing. Like we say, if traffic sucks, weather sucks. When it's blizzarding, I'm not gonna be like, hey man, it's 5 o'clock. It's 5:01. I'm gonna start charging you. Like that's not what
Right.
it's there for. But
Yeah. All right. What supplies would I need to bring for my child? I don't have any.
I do. I
Sunscreen
have a
in the summer.
list.
Sunscreen, bathing suit, and a towel. That's all you need.
Yeah. I always say extra clothes, but I've got
Yeah.
younger ones, right? So they often need their younger or their extra clothes. And that's about it.
Yeah, same.
It's just that stuff. Yeah. Oh, diapers, wipes. I'm not buying those.
Yeah, no.
I've
I
not
buy
buy
the
that
wipes.
stuff in like 25 years, so no thanks.
I buy the wipes and the sunscreen just because I know that if I don't buy it, they're not going to bring it. But unless they
Okay.
have allergies. If they have allergies, then
Yeah.
they have to buy it. But otherwise, I buy that just because then if they forget the sunscreen, I have it and I could put it on them and they could just go outside. Not a big
You
deal.
can get a great deal at Costco, right? You can buy in bulk.
Yeah. Mine, I'll bring them. This year, though, I did say no spray sunscreen.
Yeah.
Cannot stand that shit. It is awful.
Oh,
Awful.
I love it. It's a dream. You just spray all the kids. And
But
then
not for little kids, though. Not for
No,
little
not for
kids.
little
Because
kids.
then you spray it and then you've got to rub it in. So now your hands are covered in the sunscreen and you can't spray it again. Because you're all greasy. And they
Or
just,
you're spraying it and they're doing circles around and then they're coughing because they inhale it.
right?
Oh, no, I
Yeah.
love
No. And then my grass is all covered in sunscreen and they're all slipping because it would be on them if they just stayed still. Oh my God. Yeah, no. I just let me rub it in you. Then I know when you're white because you're covered in so much sunscreen, I'm happy then. Then you can go play.
All right. So ask questions, but don't ask stupid questions.
No, that's not what that
No, that's not what that
No, I think it's supposed to be ask questions, but no question is stupid.
Oh! I was going to say, so what stupid questions have you been asked?
Hey, work with me here. Okay, I'm trying.
God.
Oh my goodness, that
I
is so
was
funny.
wondering about that one. I was totally wondering. I'm like, no stupid questions. I'm like, oh, they must have some good stupid question stories.
Yes, like my story from what TV show do you watch? Okay, I am going to add. So I had a parent come for an interview, and some of the questions that they asked, I had never been asked before. And one was, what TV shows are you currently watching? And I was like, that's the most bizarre question ever.
Freddy
And then
Krueger.
I had to reply with The Walking Dead.
Yeah,
My
exactly.
friend, that's what I was watching, and I could not think of like another TV show. And the mom was like, "Oh, okay." And then so I was like, "Oh, crap." And the dad was like, "Oh my God, that's my favorite. I love this character." And we ended up having this like 30-minute conversation about The Walking Dead. And then I'm like, I have to ask why you why you asked that question, just because I'd never been asked it before. And they're like, well, it gives us insight into your personality. And I was like, oh crap. I'm like,
Oh,
what does
God.
that tell you? And the mom was like, I don't know. Someone told me to ask it and said that's what it was for. And I was like, oh, were you expecting my answer? And she was like, no. She's like, we never, I guess the friend didn't really say much more than that. So she was totally stunned. And I'm like, so what TV show are you watching right now? And the dad's like, yeah, we're watching The Walking Dead also. It was so funny. And I'm like, so I wonder what insight that gives me into your personality. And they're like, oh, probably the same as yours. But I ended up having that family. Like they ended up coming to me and stuff, and I had them for years. It was great. And they were an awesome family. So but I'm just like
That's
some
cool.
questions are just like maybe it's like a what do you call it? Like an icebreaker type question, right? So maybe you can ask that like in the beginning, but I don't know. I found that really interesting, and I've always wanted to ask other parents like that I'm interviewing what TV show they're watching. But
Yeah,
then I feel
probably
like,
wouldn't. Yeah,
right? But I'm
probably
like, I
wouldn't
wouldn't
hurt.
exactly. Anyway, I thought it was really funny.
It's a good
So
question, though.
it is, and I'm curious if there is like any psychologically or whatever, any like insights that it gives. Like, I don't know if
Well,
it's a
if you kind of
personality
think
trait.
about it, it would be like, how did you react to it? Did you take it seriously? Did you brush it off? So it says a lot too as a question.
That's true. That is a very good point. Because yeah, I mean, I was totally honest because I like that's what we're watching. And I could not have thought of like another TV show at that second. Like it that and I mean I would have felt bad if I'd have gone with the other one that I watched prior to that because we watched Supernatural. So I don't know if that's any better.
Oh my
I'm
God.
sure we've had others though. There has to have been like we could probably do a whole episode,
On
like
stupid questions.
yeah, survey other like day home providers. What stupid questions have you been asked?
Okay, I'm gonna say ask questions. No question is stupid.
I like the other version. I
Seriously,
think we should
Cash.
do that.
I like the other version better too.
This was a comment from Mysterious Meats 2599 on a post on Reddit. Something to think about regarding centers who use video photo updates. Teachers can get pretty wrapped up in posing kids for photos, editing videos, and phrasing cute texts to parents during the day. Every time they hop online to send them, they also run the risk of getting distracted by other things on their phone. While the updates are nice for parents, they can take a lot of adult time away from the children and rarely show a true representation of what the day is like. Just something to keep in mind. More technology doesn't always mean better care. Which I have to say, I take pictures of the kids all the time. I never edit any of those pictures.
Mm-mm.
I don't
And I
even
mean, I went to
post them
school for
half the
graphic
time.
design, so I know how. I could edit them amazingly, not editing them.
Mhm.
Sometimes the parents are like, hey, what was going on in that picture? And I look and I'm like, oh, Jesus, why would I have posted that one? And it's like the kids picking their nose or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, I probably should have looked closer at that one. But I could not imagine sitting there spending my day editing photo and video of their kids. No, no thanks.
Yeah.
Anyway, user 123456789 pregnant replied. Sometimes video comes up on my TikTok and I'm like, damn, I'd be pissed if I were these kids' moms. Yeah, I sure would be too. And
Yeah.
that never dawned on me, but heck yeah, we see that all the time, right? We see loads of TikToks in daycares and day homes and stuff. I would not be happy if my kids were showing up on TikToks.
Yeah, I think
Personally,
that's more in the US. I don't know.
I think it must be. But
Yeah,
I just,
I would be very upset if there were
right?
videos on TikTok. Yeah.
And I mean, and I'm pretty open and easygoing and all that. And TikToks are hilarious, and some of the ones with kids in are absolutely hysterical.
Yeah.
But I guess naively, I always kind of thought it was the moms of those kids that were taking the videos. But I mean, who knows, right? Like,
Right. Yeah.
yeah, ludicrous speed go added. I am uncomfortable with the live feed. I don't like the idea of strangers, other parents, being able to watch my kid. You never know who's watching that have access. And I think these are all great points. Like we discussed a little bit earlier, you don't know who's watching these videos. You don't know if the parents are sharing them with grandma and grandpa and Uncle Weirdo. Like you
Right.
know, you don't know.
Yeah.
So I think it's not always great. I think there's got to be a middle ground with that. And
Yeah.
it's got to be what you're comfortable with. So absolutely ask questions, see what you're comfortable with for
Just
sure.
don't ask stupid questions.
That's it for Day Home Divas this week.
Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Day Home Divas, on TikTok at dayhome.divas, and join our Facebook group Day Home Divas.
If anyone has any topics you want us to cover, or if you have any questions or suggestions, you can email us at dayhomedivas@gmail.com.
We would also appreciate it if you could rate and review us on whatever platform you're listening on. It really helps the podcast move up their charts so it gets more exposure. I hope you join us again next week. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.